Good evening, folks, and welcome to the Crooked Line Racing Series, the Monday Night Madness. We are in Concord, North Carolina at the Tri-Oval of Concord, that's called Concord Speedway. A bit of an oddball track in the NASCAR circuit, I would say, and you'll see why. It really isn't 4 turns and 2 straights. It's basically 3 turns and 3 straights. They're not very long either. Here you see the main straight going into turn 1. Then we have a short shoe that pretty much immediately goes into turn 2. And then the third leg is also not very long, and the pit entry is on that third leg. So let's bring up a little track map and information for you for tonight's race. There you see the track map. It kind of reminds me of the Nazareth Motor Speedway in Pennsylvania, except it's only 0.42 miles long, so it's a little bit shorter than what we used to have in Nazareth, Pennsylvania. That was a 1-mile track. So Concord is a bit of an odd track in the whole NASCAR scene, I would say. So tonight we have an 82 degrees Fahrenheit ambient temperature, 44% relative humidity, 7-mile-an-hour wind. We have a track temperature of 85 degrees Fahrenheit, and I can barely hear myself think, so we're going to turn down that race car audio a little bit. There we go. Let's see, what else have we got for you? We can bring up your race points as we go into this race. We have currently in the lead Dustin Mumbercat with 170 points, and as you can see, Jason Tarasenko is only 1 point behind him. But the problem is that neither of these top 2 drivers in the standings are here tonight. We haven't seen Dustin, we haven't seen Jason. Third place is currently in the hands of Joshua Sexton, and he is here. We can take a look at him as we speak. Joshua Sexton has 155 points, Tyler Johnson 150. Tyler is also here and currently quickest in the practice session. Scotty Stevens is fifth. He's got 138 points. He is also here. Tanner Marr is sixth with 121 points. And yes, he is here as well. Russell Brown with 117 points. I haven't seen Russell. And then it's Brandon Mettler. He is here tonight. Brandon Mettler has 106 points. Mark Young with 105 right behind him. And Lauren Arfman rounds out the top 10 with 99 points. So, unfortunately, a small field tonight. We only have 7 entered drivers. You see all 7 on the top left of your screen there as we are rounding out the practice session. It is Tyler Johnson that has set the fastest lap. Joshua Sexton is right on his tail there. Marr in third, Mettler in fourth, Roy, Stevens, and Garrett Crow. And that is a small field that is a little bit unusual for the Monday Night Madness Crooked Line Racing Series. But we'll see. A small field doesn't necessarily mean we're not going to have a lot of fun tonight. All right, so what are we up for tonight? We're going to get started here with qualifying, and we are looking at a 125-lap race. The drivers will have 2 laps to qualify. Qualifying is individual, and that means that they cannot see each other on the track. They are on there by themselves, basically, but we can check out on any driver that decides to go out there. And that would currently be Kevin Roy being the first driver to take his car out there for a qualifying attempt. So the fuel limit in these cars in this series is set to 60%. They have 1 fast repair to their disposal. That means that when they encounter damage on bodywork and suspension and whatnot, they have 1 time in the pit stop where they immediately, or instantly I should say, get a new car. The only things that aren't included in the fast repair are the fuel and the tires, so that will take its normal time. Speaking about tires, they only get 2 sets of tires for the 125 laps. That will have to do, and that means they're going to have to manage their tires somewhat. All right, we see Kevin Roy getting in trouble on his second lap. His first lap was a 15.842, and that currently leaves him at the top of the chart. We only have 1 other driver that has posted a time, and that was Scotty Stevens. We are currently looking at Tanner Marr, who is standing idle on the track and leaving it already. It doesn't look like there's a whole lot of interest in putting some qualifying times in here. But we still have about, 3 minutes and 10 seconds to go. Let's see who else is coming out. There we have Joshua Sexton coming out. So, time for him to try and get 2 good laps in here. Joshua ran strong last week in that 51 car. We've seen him run strong quite a bit already. This is round number 5 on the in the Crooked Line Monday Night Madness series. We are running the stock late model, the late model stock cars, and to give you the super late model, I should say. I'm sorry. And to give you a little bit of information, there you have the car information. 358 cubic inch cast iron V8 that produces 550 horsepower, 4-speed manual transmission and the total weight is 2,800 pounds. Top speed of these cars is 190 miles an hour, which they will definitely not be making here tonight. Let's go and take Joshua Sexton's attempt in the replay here. He places himself in the provisional pole position with a 15.69 as his best lap time. And that leaves us waiting on more drivers on the track. We have Brandon Mettler. He has made 2 laps, and he's already practicing donuts for the end of the race. Tyler Johnson, Tanner Marr, and Garrett Crow have not yet posted a time. We are about a minute and a half away from the end of qualifying, so if they don't feel they can be quicker than the guys out there, it really doesn't matter. In a field of 7, obviously it's not going to be that big of a deal. Tyler Johnson is going out. He's going to give it a shot in the number 5 car. Already going over Brandon's signature there. And as you can see, these laps are very, very short. It's a very narrow, it looks like a fairly wide track, but the racing line is really not that wide. It's difficult to run too wide. Cars get a little bit loose coming off the turn, so we'll be watching for all that. Tyler Johnson puts it on the provisional pole. 15.488 pushes Joshua Sexton to the second position. And that is basically a repeat of the practice session that we were watching. Tyler doing a good job here. His second lap not quicker than the first, but it doesn't matter. He has put it on the provisional pole here. Well, with 10 seconds ticking away in qualifying, and Tanner Marr, Garrett Crow not yet posted a time, and I'm fairly sure they're not going to be able to. All right, so of our championship championship contenders, the top two are not here, just Dustin Mumberget and Jason Tarasenko, but it is Sexton, Johnson, and Stevens that are following those two, and they are here, so they're going to be scoring some good points here tonight. There's your grid. Not a very big grid, but it's still a grid. Tyler Johnson on pole, Joshua Sexton alongside him, Kevin Roy and Brandon Mettler on the second row. On the third row, it is Scotty Stevens and Tanner Marr, and then it's Garrett Crow, I hope I pronounce it correctly, from California. He is in the number 38 car, and he rounds out the field here. Getting ready to move along. Garrett, we're waiting on the 38 of Garrett. And is he opting to start out of the pits, or is he not driving? We haven't seen Garrett Crow on the grid. Might be that he's assuming the role of race director, which is a little unfortunate, obviously, because that leaves us with only 6 cars in the race. 125 laps to go. This is an opportunity for Tyler Johnson, Joshua Sexton, and Scotty Stevens to gain some valuable points on Dustin Mumberget and Jason Tarasenko. As you can see from your picture here, we're running late afternoon. We're probably not gonna make it all the way to dark because there is no track lighting on this track. The pace car is in. The drivers will be waiting on the radio call for the first start. Tyler Johnson in the number 5 car with Joshua Sexton alongside him. And we are on our way, 125 laps. The 5th round of the Crooked Racing Monday Night Madness series in the super late models is on its way. 6 drivers have taken to the start, and everybody seems to be going on their way pretty good. There is a good battle there in the back. It looks like Garrett Crow has not started the race. 6 drivers, and we're looking there at Tanner Marr in the last position, running behind Scotty Stevens. Scotty Stevens trying hard to catch up with Mettler. Tyler Johnson taking a good lead at this point. He is already 0.6 of a second ahead of Joshua Sexton in the number 51 car, with Kevin Roy in third. Basically a car length between these guys, then a couple of car lengths to Brandon Mettler in the 015. He is holding off Scotty Stevens and Tanner Marr. Tanner Marr currently running the quickest lap of the race in a 15.826. So that means that he is getting ready to make a move. Obviously, all 6 of them are going to score some very decent points here tonight. Doesn't really matter what it looks like. All 6 of them are going to score some good points for the championship with the absence of the leaders. Tanner Marr is already trying to put some pressure on Scotty Stevens. That is the battle for 5th and 6th. And it kind of shows you that it's not that easy to come alongside another car and trying to take that position away is, as you can tell, it is pretty difficult, but he does get it underneath there, and he picks up 5th position. Tanner Marr pushes Scotty Stevens back to the final spot here. Meanwhile, the rest of them have gained quite a bit of ground on him. It's always true that when two cars are battling, both of them are slower than the cars that are running by themselves. And you can see that Tanner Marr is now pulling away from Scotty Stevens, trying to make up for that. The battle to get by Scotty Stevens just simply cost him, I would say about almost a second there. And now we see Kevin Roy and Brandon Mettler. Mettler now gaining, going past Roy and picking up 3rd position. Kevin gave him the room there. Looks like he kind of washed up wide, and it looked like he just decided not to go for it and just let him go. Tyler Johnson still in the lead up front in the number 5 car, with Joshua Sexton right behind him in the 51. Mettler now in 3rd, about 1.3 seconds behind, and then it's almost a second towards Kevin Roy. Tanner Marr is closing in on Kevin Roy, that is for sure. Let's ride along here with Tanner Marr, trying to catch up there with Kevin Roy. And you can see from the onboard camera that it is just, there is no resting moments on this track. It is turn after turn after turn. Especially the lag between turn 1 and 2 is extremely short. The main straightaway is not too bad, and here you just basically go directly into turn 2 and directly into turn 3. Kevin Roy closing in on that number 89 car. Scotty Stevens hanging with him pretty good. There is quite a bit of distance between Joshua Sexton and Brandon Mettler. Sexton seems to be catching up with Tyler Johnson at this point. And as said, tires will play a role here in these races with the Crooked Line Series. They only get to play with 2 sets of tires, and these smaller tracks, the pits are really not a place you want to go to if you don't really have to. And I doubt that we will see anybody pit under green if they don't absolutely have to. They should be able to make it on fuel. I'm not 100% sure, but might need a splash towards the end. The fuel window is the fuel limit, I should say, on the vehicles has been turned back to 60% compared to the real thing. And as you can see, Joshua Sexton is gaining on Tyler Johnson. Let's go a little bit further back, where Kevin Roy is now having to deal with Tanner Marr, who is closed in, and Scotty Stevens is hanging with Tanner Marr pretty good there. So we might see something developing back here as well. We'll have to keep an eye on that, and we'll also keep a good eye on Tyler Johnson and Joshua Sexton. Joshua in 2nd position, pushing hard towards Tyler Johnson. And we missed one pass already. Tanner Marr has gone by Kevin Roy. We can see if we can find that. There we go. There you see the number 4 car of Tanner Marr dive into the inside in turn 1. Kevin Roy thinking the better of it and letting him go just like he did earlier. Back live again, we still have Tyler Johnson in the lead with Joshua Sexton right behind him. Ooh, and it looks like Tanner Marr and Kevin Roy were swapping positions there once again. Tanner Marr on the upper hand now. Kevin Roy not giving up, obviously. 3 cars here close together. That's Marr, Roy, and Stevens, the number 4 and 5th and 6th positions. Brandon Mettler kind of by himself in between these 2 groups. We have Tyler Johnson and Joshua Sexton fighting for the lead. And then we have Brandon by himself and Marr, Roy, and Stevens fighting for the 4th, 5th, and 6th positions. Tanner Marr currently having the upper hand there. Ooh, Scotty Stevens almost lost it there. It looks from the right front side that he has already scraped the wall. He's got some damage on that right front. And it looks like it's starting to bother him because he's dropping back just a little bit. Sexton now closing in on Tyler Johnson for 2nd position. And we're coming up on lap 29 of 125 as they go across the line. The number 5 leading the number 51. Tanner Marr seems to be pulling away from Kevin Roy right now, and Scotty Stevens is having more and more trouble keeping up. As said, we did see him scrape the wall, and he's got a little bit of damage on that car. And the only problem of a small field for these guys would be that, you know, there's not a very big likelihood of yellows coming out unless you are the yellow yourself, and you don't want to be the yellow, obviously. So it might be difficult for Scotty Stevens to deal with this issue. Scotty already almost 11 seconds behind the leaders, and lap times being right around 15 and 8 to 16 seconds. That means he will be lapped fairly shortly. Ooh, it looks like Scotty Stevens is in trouble, and we do have a yellow. This is where that fast repair comes in handy. The car is upside down. Let's go and find out what happened to him. Scotty Stevens coming onto the main straightaway, touches the wall again, and then loses the car, turns it around, and it ends on its roof. And he's taken a tow to the pit, and obviously it's going to cost him a lot of time, but a fast repair will at least ensure that he can keep going in this race. And that'll give the guys a little bit of breathing time here. Tyler Johnson, Joshua Sexton, Brandon Mettler, Tanner Marr, and Kevin Roy, they bunch back up together. They're definitely putting a lap on Scotty Stevens. He's already actually 3 laps down. So it'll be a tough night for Scotty Stevens there. And the positive on his end is that there's only 6 drivers, so he can't do worse than 6th position. Tanner Marr going into the pits. The only one right now. Let's see what kind of service he's going to get. He does have a little bit of damage also on that right front. He might opt to get that taken care of, although on a track like this, you might want to save that fast repair for bigger trouble. Can't really tell if he is getting that repair. Doesn't look like it, but he is getting his 2nd set of tires. I can't see if that was repaired. I don't believe it is. Let's see if he comes by. Yeah, it's not been repaired, but he did take the tires. So that means that Tanner is basically on his final tire set, and he'll have to make it to the end on this set here. Catching up to the back end of the field, now running in 5th position, so the whole endeavor just cost him 1 position. And obviously that's the good part of a small field, although of course we as spectators would rather see all the guys here. Unusually small field for this series. We've seen some good sized fields so far. Well, Scotty Stevens is still on pit road, and it doesn't look like there's a whole lot happening there. And when you're in his position 5 laps down with only 6 drivers in the field, you might wonder if it's worth your time. Cars are lined up again. We are going back to racing. Tyler Johnson in the lead. He gets to decide when to go.
Green flag, green flag.
And they're waiting. They waited on the radio call. All 5 of them back at it. Tyler Johnson, and it does look like Scotty Stevens is back out. He's right in front of the pack there. Johnson in the lead, coming up to him. Sexton in second, Mettler in third. Tanner Marr getting a little racy here. He picks up a position from Brandon Mettler. Tanner Marr now in third position. Those new tires are going to be helpful. Ooh, Scotty Stevens goes around. Let's bring that back for you real quick. Scotty Stevens is trying to stay out of the way, and he gets down on the apron below the yellow line, loses the back end. That's always tricky. It doesn't look like he messes up things that bad, but he is running and back on his way, but we are back under yellow. In pretty much every track that we go to, the line, the yellow line that separates the apron from the banking is always pretty tricky. It's very easy to lose the back end when you get on that apron with the left wheels, and that's exactly what happened to Scotty Stevens there. It looks like Kevin Roy is coming down pit road. He is maybe thinking, well, if Marr can do better on new tires, maybe I can too. Scotty Stevens has brought it back to pit road, and it looks like Scotty Stevens is out. That leaves us with 5 cars in the race. We're on lap 43. Johnson leading. We can take a look back there at the 51 of Joshua Sexton, trying to keep some heat in those tires. Tanner Marr right behind him, and the 015 of Brandon Mettler. It looks like Kevin Roy is back out on track. Yes, he is. We'll see him coming up there in the background pretty soon. There he is at the tail end of the group. And Tanner Marr is the one that is on new tires. And so is Kevin Roy. So we might see something developing from Marr and Roy here. They're going side by side once again for the restart. And there we go. We are back on our way. Tyler Johnson holds on to the lead. Joshua Sexton alongside him. Tanner Marr staking that nose right behind these guys, side by side. It looks like these new tire guys are running strong. Tanner Marr is pushing himself into second position now, right in front of Sexton. Mettler is holding off Kevin Roy for now. Tanner Marr looks like he wants more. He's getting eager to go after Tyler Johnson. And with those newer tires, I would expect him to be able to do that. But obviously, at some point in this race, he's going to be paying for that. Because those other guys will have tires left to choose from, and he will not. Tanner takes the lead for now. That's at least what he wanted, and that's... he might be able to pull away from these guys as well. Already pulling a couple of car lengths there. Kevin Roy has picked up fourth position from Mettler. And remember, Roy is on new tires as well. He's already working his way towards Joshua Sexton in the 51 car. Tanner Marr pulling away a little bit. And there we see Roy coming into the inside of the 51. Kevin Roy picks up third position. These new tires are paying off for now, but what's it going to be like at the end of the race? Right now it works for them, and Mettler is even trying to get racy with Sexton there, going to the inside as well. Sexton holds him off for now. Once again, Mettler trying on the lower side, can't get underneath there. And it looks like Sexton can hold on there to fourth position. Tanner Marr over a second gone in front there. He has got 1.3 seconds on Tyler Johnson in the number 5 car, and Tyler is getting Kevin Roy right behind him. Let's go take a look at that. Ooh, looks like Mettler is getting, Mettler is trying to put some pressure on Joshua Sexton here for fourth position. And a little bit further up there, it's Kevin Roy that's trying to put pressure on Tyler Johnson. Kevin Roy trying to get underneath there. And he makes it. He makes it. He picks up second position from Tyler Johnson. So both the guys that opted to pit for new tires, they are out in front. Although Tyler Johnson is definitely not giving up here. But it looks like Tyler has got the momentum at this moment. And then right behind Sexton, we have Mettler pushing hard. So let's go back to the leader here, the number 4 of Tanner Marr. He is about 3 seconds clear of Kevin Roy, so that is quite a gap. Kevin Roy is pulling away from Tyler Johnson in the number 5 car. And then it's Joshua Sexton and Brandon Mettler duking it out there for the final spot, or rather the not to be on the final spot. Lap 62, we're coming up pretty close on halfway here. And Brandon Mettler definitely trying very hard there. I know that when I'm racing, I hate being in the final position. It's just, to me, it's always, that's just not good for your ego to be last. You always want to have somebody behind you, and it looks like Brandon Mettler feels the same way, and he puts Joshua Sexton down to 5th spot. Ooh, it looks like Sexton has decided to come in to the pits on a green, under green. That is a surprising move, because that's going to take him a while to make up for that. We're halfway into the race, and he has decided, well, if those guys are that quick on new tires, then I guess I need those as well. And as you can see, the car is moving up. That means he is getting those new tires. So hopefully he will be able to make up for lost time, because right now he is losing 2 laps in the pits. And as we said earlier, obviously the chance of yellows is a little bit slimmer because we don't have that many cars going around this track. But if there is a yellow for the other guys, that will definitely cost Sexton the race. Green flag pit stops, in my view, is always something you want to avoid if at all possible. You know, if you run out of fuel, you can't help it. But if you can maintain what you have under green, just stay out there. Especially on a short track like this, as you can see on the scoring on your left there, Joshua Sexton is now 2 laps behind. And granted, they're not very long laps, but still, he would have to pass everybody twice. And Tanamar is right there behind him, I believe. Yep, so that means he is almost 3 laps behind. That is a costly pit stop, folks. Second place, Kevin Roy. Kevin has Tyler Johnson back right behind him. That is the battle for second position. Kevin pitted on lap 42. Tyler Johnson hasn't pitted. And he can keep up with Roy there pretty good. Let's see. What happened to Scotty Stevens? I'm sorry, Scotty is out. I'm mixed up here. Excuse me. Joshua Sexton is still maintaining to be ahead of Tanner Marr, so he did not go down an extra lap. He's actually gaining back some ground, which is to be expected, obviously. Marr is, as you can see there in the distance, that was Joshua Sexton. He is pulling away from the leader, Tanner Marr. But like I said, he's going to have to pass everybody twice before he is even a threat to Tanner Marr. So Roy and Tyler Johnson in second and third, and then it's Brandon Mettler in fourth, running by himself. He has 38 seconds on Sexton, which is at least 1 lap, obviously. And it looks like the advantage that Tanner Marr had has evaporated for a little bit. He had more than 3 seconds, and it is down to 2.1. So Kevin Roy and Tyler Johnson are gaining on Tanner Marr. There you have him. Let's ride along here with Tyler. He's got a little bit crumbled up right front fender. That means he has brushed the wall at some point. And he is getting a little racy here with Kevin Roy right in front of him. Staying with that number 89 car very nicely. Ooh, it looks like Kevin runs a little bit wide there. Ooh, it looks like Tyler taps the wall there very lightly. And what you're looking at here is definitely a compliment to Tyler Johnson on tire management, because he has got 84 laps on those tires and Kevin Roy has 42 laps on those tires. And the difference is really minimal. I mean, it looks like Tyler Johnson can stay with Kevin really well. Brandon Mettler opts to go into the pits as well. He knows that Joshua Sexton has done so, and that means that he can probably maintain or almost maintain that fourth position. And we'll have to wait and see if Tanner Marr is going to be doing the same thing at some point. And Tyler Johnson now opting to go in. Oh, and that surprises me, as well as he was keeping up with Kevin Roy. That kind of surprises me. I've seen other drivers run these races on one set of tires. Mumberget and Tarasenko are guys that run these races on one set of tires, and it kind of had me thinking that Tyler would manage that as well. But on lap 88, he opts to go in. So now the question becomes, Tanner Mars, his tires were changed on lap 35, so that is like 55 laps ago. How do they compare to the other guys, and how quickly will they be able to catch those laps back up that they have lost? Tyler Johnson is almost 2 laps down, as you can see. That means he's done pretty good in the pits. Tyler Johnson is running there right ahead of the leader, Tanner Marr. He is a lap down, so he basically has to pass everybody once. And there you can see the difference. That's that is Brandon Mettler that is going by Tanner Marr fairly easy, and that is the difference between the new tires and what is now the old tires on Tanner Marr and Kevin Roy's vehicles. But we're already on lap 92, and we're just gonna have to wait and see if Tyler Johnson can make up a full lap on Tanner Marr and then pass him again for the race win. So the guys that have, and you can see that Tanner Marr is in trouble. He was running pretty wide there. So that early pit stop might come back to haunt him right now. Of course, if he would go back in now, he would definitely give up the race if he would go into the pits now. He's going to have to stay out there and try to make it work and hope for the best, and hope that Tyler Johnson simply does not have enough laps to make up the difference. Sexton still in 5th, so Mettler actually kept his 4th spot by pitting, despite doing it later than Joshua. Kevin Roy in 2nd position, and he is dealing with Joshua in his mirrors now. Joshua is going to be trying to get one of his laps back from Kevin. But you can see that the differences are, the 51 is quicker, but it's not by that much. We can take a look at the lap times and to see what the differences are between these guys. Sexton running a 16.7. Kevin Roy running a 17.2. So that's about a half a second. Tanner Marr is running a 16.9, and that makes him 0.2 of a second quicker than Sexton. Sexton is now catching up with a 16.4, and Marr with his 17 flat. So yes, the guys behind are quicker. The guys that have pitted last, Johnson, Mettler, and Sexton, are quicker, but will they have enough laps? We are on lap 100. Next time by, they're going to be only 25 laps from the finish. So this will have to get done in 25 laps, and that might be a tough call. As you can see, it's getting darker around the track. Sun setting on Concord, North Carolina. The difference between Tanner Marr and Kevin Roy is 2.6 seconds, and I don't think there's a whole lot of movement in between these guys. Tanner seems to stay in control over Roy, and behind Roy we are looking at Sexton gaining ground, but obviously once again he is still 2 laps behind the leader. Tyler Johnson in third, also gaining ground, passing the 89 there for one lap back. Once he gets past Marr, he will be on the same lap. So the biggest threat to Tanner Marr at this point would be Tyler Johnson. If Tyler Johnson can get past Tanner Marr, who is not that far ahead of him, as you can see there, ahead of Tyler Johnson is the 51 of Sexton, another lap down, and ahead of that car is the leader, Tanner Marr. So Tyler Johnson is getting close to unlapping himself, putting himself back on that lead lap, and when he does so, he will probably have about 15 laps to make up that last lap. It might get close. One thing is for sure, Tanner Marr has no options. He needs to stay out. He cannot afford to go back in. There won't be any tires for him, so he has no choice. He opted to pit early on lap 35, and he's going to have to make this work. So the good thing for him is that Tyler not only has to pass him, Tanner Marr, but Tyler Johnson also has to pass the 51 car. And these guys are all battling Tanner to get their lap back. Sexton goes around. The number 5 car trying to do the same thing, going underneath. Tanner Marr gives him that room because he doesn't want to be taken out, obviously. The track will obviously be cooling down since the sun is setting. That is good news. It usually makes for better grip when the track cools down. So Tanner Marr, all he has to do is follow the number 5 car and he will be okay. We're on lap 112. 14 laps to go. I don't think Tyler is going to be able to make that unless Tanner Marr runs those tires down to the threat and has nothing left. Hey, you see Sexton even getting in trouble a little bit. He's been working that car really hard. He let go of Tyler Johnson. So Tyler Johnson is now, as you can see on the left side of your screen, 15 seconds behind Marr on the same lap, and he is only 0.4 of a second quicker per lap. Lap 114. And it is getting pretty dark around here. Hopefully that won't bother the drivers too much. This track could definitely use some lights, or we should race in the afternoon, I would say. And for those of you not familiar with this kind of racing, yes, those cars have headlights, but those are just stickers. Those are just part of the paint job. Johnson has eaten away 2 seconds of his deficit. But is it going to be enough? We are already going into lap 118. Tanner Marr is also maintaining his lead on Kevin Roy. 2.3, 2.4 seconds. It's a little bit on and off, obviously. He is hanging on to that lead. And Kevin Roy does have him in his sights there. There is one car in between there, and that is Brandon Mettler. Ooh, yellow flag is going to change everything. Yellow flag is going to change everything. Let's go and see what happened, and it was Tyler Johnson. And the car is upside down. It's a little difficult to see what... Ooh. He comes off the third turn there. And listen to the engine. As he is on the middle of the main straight, he spins the rear end and can't hold on to it. Runs it to the right side into the wall and flips it over. Well, that kind of decides the race, I would say. It gives Kevin Roy another shot at Tanner Marr, so it doesn't quite... It decided Tyler Johnson's race that he was not going to make it, but it gives Kevin Roy another shot at Tanner Marr, and Brandon Mettler is also back on the lead lap. He is now in third position. It gives him another shot at the race as well, so this is not good news for Tanner and Kevin, who are on the oldest tires. Brandon has the newest rubber, changed on lap 84. And Brandon opting to go in the pits. Is he running out of fuel? Well, he's not going to lose too much positions. There's only going to be Joshua Sexton in between him and the two leaders. But this is a very, very awkward. He must have been in doubt about his fuel. He just took a splash and dash there. Or maybe he took that faster pair that he didn't use yet to have a better car. It's not hurting him too much, obviously. He has Joshua Sexton in between him and Marr and Roy, the two leaders. So, it looks like we're going to do a green-white checkered here. Already on lap 124, and we're going green on lap 125, so we're going to be doing a green-white checkered. And that'll give Brandon Mettler 2 laps to pass 3 cars. Joshua probably won't make his life too miserable. Joshua is still a lap down. He knows he can't win this thing. Joshua can't really improve his position no matter what happens. There goes Mettler. Ooh, Sexton into the wall, scraping it there. Mettler going after the two leaders, and Kevin Roy going after Tanner Marr. One more lap to go. The white flag is out. Tanner Marr, can he hold on to it? One more turn. Tanner is still... Oh! That is Kevin Roy hitting Marr in the back there. As they come towards the finish line, let's look at it one more time. There is your final turn. Roy looks like he's just overshooting that a little bit. He backs out of it right away. That's good sportsmanship. And Tanner Marr hangs on to the win. What a finish. All right, folks, there you have your leaders. We're going to see some burnouts here. Tanner Marr doing some donuts here. It is getting dark on this track. Let's go and see if we can find some of those guys to talk to. Kevin, this is Mark in the booth. Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Kevin, this was a very exciting finish here. The last 2 laps, your green-white checkered. What happened on that last turn, sir?
It was all or nothing. I had to try something. I did push him a little. Luckily, he managed to get the car back on track, and it was a really close finish between those 3.
Absolutely. You were also fairly early in the pits there on lap 42. What made you decide to go in early?
The fact that we were only 6, and I had to try a strategy in order to win some position on the track when the green flag pit stop were coming.
I understand completely, and that strategy seemed to work pretty good. You were basically what was it, 2.5, 2.7 seconds behind Tanner Marr there most of that run until that final yellow obviously kind of spoiled everything for you there. Uh, that's kind of the risk you take. If there's a late yellow, then obviously you're going to be in trouble.
Yes, of course, but it's win or lose. You get if you want to win, you gotta try something different than the other people sometimes. So in my
That
at my second race in the league, I finished third place. It's pretty awesome.
Absolutely, absolutely. That is pretty awesome, I totally understand. You were there in the back of the pack in the beginning. You had to try something to gain position. It worked really well, and yeah, you can't predict what happens. And I would agree with you that it's a chance worth taking, especially in a small field, because the odds of yellows are smaller. Obviously, when there's only 5 or 6 cars on the track.
Exactly. I was sure that Tanner wasn't going to have enough fuel at the beginning, but yeah, they still pretty happy with the result.
Absolutely. Well, once again, congratulations, Kevin. Any love yous and thank yous you want to throw out there?
I want to thank you, all the league race member and the admin for taking me with them. I love the car super late model, and the field is really great to run with.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much, Kevin. Once again, congratulations.
Mark.
Brandon, this is Mark. Can you hear me?
I got you. You got me.
Absolutely. That was a close finish. Late pit stop, a little bit later than the rest, trying to make up for lost time. Obviously, you did a little bit better there than Joshua Sexton, who pitted earlier than you did, but he never really made up for most of that time. You did. What was the difference, you believe?
Well, I'm not 100% sure, but I think he might have taken 4 tires in the green, and I know me and Tyler only took two, so that might have been the difference. But yeah, I was kind of curious how I came up so out in front of him and during that green flag stop.
Okay, well that does explain the difference. I do believe you're right. He took three, or he took four, and you took only two, so that saves you a little bit of time. You only went down one lap, correct?
I believe I did end up going down 2 laps, but I wasn't that far behind Tanner and Kevin when I came out the first time, so it wasn't too hard to get my first lap back. But then the lucky dog came out right at that last caution, so that put me back on the lead lap.
Yeah, and that almost got you back back on top there. I mean, a little bit of a misunderstanding, obviously, between Roy and Tanner there. Roy had to try something, and Tanner Marr almost lost it. He saved it beautifully, and I think it was a very close finish there.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Back in last season, actually, before you started covering our races, me, Tanner, and Bill Gross were in a very similar situation where Bill Gross went into the final quarter leading, and Tanner got into him, and I ended up making the pass in the last corner by the both of them to win. But Tanner ended up coming out on top this time, so I might have another one in my future just like that.
Cool, man. Cool. Absolutely. It was a fun finale, that's for sure. All right, Brandon. Congratulations on a good and well deserved second place. Any love yous and thank yous you want to throw out there before I let you go?
Well, first and foremost, I do appreciate you, broadcasting this league. I know we didn't have a high car count tonight, but with the new tire model and the new geometry and the new track being supers at Concord's a little bit different. So I think it kind of chased a few people away. I know some people were late for work and everything like that, but definitely want to thank you for broadcasting our league and sticking with us. And then thank you to my sponsor, BAM Racing Videos on Facebook and YouTube.
Absolutely. Well, I love doing it, man. So even though it's a small field, it was still a fun race to watch. I do think that this is a bit of an oddball track, but oh well. And I guess that leaves people at home or not showing up. But that it is what it is. It doesn't matter as long as we're having fun.
Oh yeah, hopefully it was a good race. I know last lap for sure was probably a good one for you to watch, but
It
other
was
than that, like I said, I do appreciate you coming out every single week and helping us with this.
Absolutely. I love to do it, man. So thank you very much. All right, Tanner, are you there?
Yes, I got you.
Tanner, you looked like you had a decision of a very early pit stop. I'm not sure if you took all fours, but it does look like it paid off pretty good.
Beginning of the race, I was way far off pace. I tried to qualify, got in the wall, didn't get my laps in. Luckily, the field was small, so I ended up going in, throw some tire pressure changes in it, and the car felt good. It was a rocket ship for about the first 20 or so laps, but then it just fell off so hard. But luckily, in the end, it all paid off, and ended up they had to pit under green. I know it hurt them.
Yeah, that was your biggest advantage, obviously, being able to pit under yellow and take those tires, and that prevented you from going down like one or two laps. I believe Joshua went down two laps, taking four tires under green. So, what happened at the final turn there? How did that look from your perspective?
Well, I know for the last 20 laps or so, I'm sure the broadcast showed it was getting really, really dark out there. From about lap 90 on, as far as racers saying, I want to hit my marks, you couldn't really pick out your marks anymore. So I,
Yeah.
I knew when that last caution came out, I knew Brandon was going to be on fresh rubber. Kevin's a tough competitor. And it being dark, it kind of just all threw it in the mix and made it a spicy finish. Just luckily, everybody's first instinct and something like that is just put the pedal to the floor, but I kind of just let it roll, and luckily it grabbed grip and went. I know me and Brandon were pretty close to side by side going across the finish.
Yes, absolutely. As a matter of fact, you were only 1/10 of a second, 1300th of a second apart. So it was pretty close, and you caught it beautifully. I do believe that Kevin lifted as well after that happened and kind of got out of it, understanding that, if he would have kept going, he would probably have had you sideways in front of him and either have to turn you around or go through you. That wouldn't have worked. So I will commend him for that, for not pursuing that move once it went wrong. So that kind of helped you a little bit, I believe.
Absolutely. I know getting into turn three right there, I looked up in my mirror just out of habit, and you would think you'd be able to see them closing in on me, but it was so dark in the rear view that I couldn't see a car back there. It was like I was out on the track by myself. That's how dark it felt.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, I mean, I'm still looking at the pictures of the track as we're talking. I can't distinguish anything anymore now. I mean, and it was getting pretty dark there for us as well. Hard to distinguish who's who and who's where.
Such a well ran league that we made a mistake on the timing. We actually bumped the hour back, or bumped the start time back an hour in sim time, and it wasn't enough. But we'll put it in the notebook and have it for future reference if we ever do come back to Concord.
Yep, absolutely. That's something to keep in mind. You just make it an early afternoon race instead of a late afternoon, and you'll be fine. All right, Tanner. Congratulations. Obviously, you're going to do some good business compared to Dustin and Jason, who weren't here tonight. You're going to catch up with them pretty good. It'll open up the championship fight a little bit better again. So, congratulations on that, man. Any love yous and thank yous you want to throw out there before I let you go?
Yes, absolutely. I want to thank Michael Falk over at MF Racing Designs. You can find him on Facebook. He makes all these cars I drive beautiful on here. I got to thank my family for all the support. And going back on Dustin and Jason, those two, they're super, super fast on here. And they're the type of guys where you can ask them questions about setup, and they're an open book. And that's really cool. And I know we didn't have the turnout we liked tonight. Like Brandon said, I think Concord kind of scared people away. So maybe next week we'll have a better car count and a better show.
Well, and I can understand that. I'll be honest with you. I don't race these cars very much, but this track is also to me, one of the oddball tracks that I probably would have stayed away myself. So I can understand that. If you don't feel like you have a good chance, then what's the point? I, that makes sense. But I'm sure next week will be better. We've had good car counts so far before this race. Still 6 cars showing up at the start. I didn't get bored at all. I mean, it was still fun seeing all you guys race. There were battles going on. There was tactics going on and strategy going on. So there was plenty to talk about. Tanner, congratulations once again. Well deserved win here. You're going to catch up to Mumberget and Tarasenko in the standings. And next week is a whole new ball game. We're going to South Boston, another one of those short treks, but a little bit more of a regular track than this one.
Absolutely. I'll be looking forward to South Boston, one of my favorite races, and I'll be looking forward to hearing you up in the booth. You do a really good job. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you very much, man. I appreciate you saying that. We'll see you next week, Tanner.
Mark.
All right, folks, that'll have to do it for tonight. As you can see on your screen, we are actually still looking at a picture of the Concord, North Carolina Speedway, and it is dark there. People probably wouldn't be able to find their way home anymore, but it's that dark. And you heard the driver say this is probably something they would have to change next season on this particular track. Go from a late afternoon to a early afternoon in sim time. They can choose that when they set it up. They can actually set the clock when they set it up. And as you heard one of the guys say, they did try to roll back the clock 1 hour, but that was obviously not enough. We've seen some pretty good racing. We've seen some battles in the 6-car field. It's still not bad for as much as that we had here. I enjoyed myself. We had a very good finish there at the end. Tanner Marr was able to hang on to it just only by 0.13 of a second, so close finish there. Brandon Mettler got a little lucky on that final lap with the lucky dog, and then being back on the same lap, Kevin Roy, very good sportsmanship, I will say, going out of that incident there on the final turn with Tanner Marr. He did not keep his foot down in it, because he would have definitely turned Tanner around there, and that would have been a little bit more messy. But Kevin did the right thing. He got out of it. They saved it all together. Tanner saved his car beautiful and managed to hang on to that win. So that'll be it for Concord, North Carolina here tonight, folks. As said, next week we're going to go to South Boston. Hopefully the other drivers will be back again to fill up the field a little bit better than tonight, and we'll keep this championship going in race number 6 at South Boston next week. This is Short Shift Broadcasting. My name is Mark. We hope you enjoyed the show, and we'll see you back again next week. Same night, same time, and different place. Be kind to one another and stay healthy.